Do you want to see something awesome? Look at this! Do you know what that is? That is a Jaffa cake with a peanut M&M stuck on the inside, as if it's some sort of 1950s cool UFO. And I'm going to eat it. And in fact, I'm going to eat many more of them. I've got a whole armada of them down there, and I'm going to eat them all. Hello, random people. How are you all again? I'm good. I'm going to take a few minutes to properly explain what I'm doing with all of this and why you're watching me. Because a few people have kind of chatted to me about doing various things with it. This is really a project to help my stand-up skills. So I don't want to get into sort of sketch writing with things like cutaways and fades and stuff like that. Plus, I'm not very clever and don't know how to do it. It's more about testing the skill, about standing up on stage in front of people and talking without making mistakes. And one thing you probably don't know, which I probably should have said a couple of videos ago, was that I do these in one take, one go. If I mess up, I mess up, and you're going to see that. That's why you saw my phone go off in the first episode, and thankfully nothing else has gone wrong since, but it could do. And that's part of the reason. It's to make sure that in one take I can do something. I'm not saying that I'm not going to practice what I do beforehand, not that I have yet, but I could do. But when I sit down in front of the camera, it's a one take, one shot deal. So I hope that clears up a few things. And I've also improved my chair. I've got a different chair, and you can see the old chair over there. That was because it was squeaking a lot. And I quite like the squeaks. I thought they added something, like harmonising with my voice, but a lot of people didn't like it, so I've changed. The subject for this week is I've kind of extrapolated based upon what someone said, and it's kind of old and new stuff, and maybe with a few bits of cables thrown in at the end. Don't know if I'll get around to that though. And so I've been thinking about old things that people seem to make new, or new objects that people try and make seem old. And it kind of brought up this idea in my head that I've seen in a few places. People have these distressed furniture, it's called, where you take a new cupboard, say, and then you wail on it and you wax it, and no, you don't wax it, sorry, you sand it and you wail on it with chains, and to make it look distressed, which is apparently the old-timey feel. It's instead of buying an antique. And I can't see the point in this, because it either makes you one of two things in my book. It either makes you a slave master or a pervert. Those are the two options. And I'll explain why. Because having a distressed object in your room is just weird. It sounds as if what you've done is you've gone to the wilds of the Serengeti plains of IKEA, and you have ripped a cupboard, a bedroom cupboard, from the dead arms of its mother, which happened to be a 3-door wardrobe, which you battered to death with a hammer after screaming at it. Why didn't you come with a fucking real tool? What is a 3/4 inch nail? I don't know. What do these instructions mean? And then you've ripped its child out of its arms and taken it home and stuck it in the corner of your room, and waited for it to grow up, and then you've stuffed your underwear into it right at the back, and you didn't even clean the underwear, you just put it in there because that's what it deserves, because it was evil, and you left it there to fester in its own feces, and you fed it on scraps of food and made it into this distressed state where it fears both you and anyone who looks like you. So that's option one. Option two is that you're a pervert, and that what you're actually doing is you're taking this healthy, lovely cupboard, and then you are performing sadism on it. Or maybe it's masochistic, or is it the other way around? I never figure out which way around it is, but you're there and you're destroying its casters so it doesn't roll open in and out properly, and it's probably there going, break my casters, I don't want to open and close smoothly, that's it, beat me with the steel chain to make me look distressed, and that's it, kick my legs, break my legs, I want to be lopsided. So you are either a slave driver or sadomasochist. And those are your two options when it comes to distressed furniture. And I don't know if those two things apply to all things that are old, new, that people make old, but I don't see why not. And I've decided that anyone who takes a new object and makes it look old, or retro, as it's cool to call it, is just weird. A new thing is cool. Why don't you want new things? New things are shiny, they're smooth, they're clean, they have no dust on them. I mean, God, that's the only reason I get new things is to get rid of the old stuff that's got dust on it, because I can't be arsed with dusting. Until they create a dust-in version of a Roomba, I'm not going to dust. I think that's fair. I think I live in an age where technology should serve my whims. I shouldn't have to get a fucking duster out and spray some things and wipe it down. And I don't see why I should do that. I've got a robot. I've got a Roomba who buzzes around my house. He's called Barry the Roomba. And he buzzes around my house and he hoovers for me. Well, that's wonderful. Why can't someone dust? And you can get mopping versions of the Roomba, and they're even cooler because they spin. And in my mind, you could put like a little dress on them, and as they spun, it would come up in a kind of ooh, sexy in the 1950s kind of way. I thought that'd be quite cool. And I no connection between these two topics. I couldn't think of a connection between old and new stuff and cables, so I'm just going to break and talk about it. This is why not? And cables. Let's just pretend there was a link there. I'm so funny. What a great link. Cables are annoying. Not because they get tangled. I don't mind that. I kind of like the idea of having to untangle cables. It's like a little puzzle to help me unlock whatever piece of technology I've got. So I quite like the idea that my iPhone is useless until I untangle the charging cable so I can plug it in. It's like I win the game. I win power for my phone. I quite like that. What I get annoyed about is the different connectors. I don't understand why they have to all be different. And even worse, I don't understand why one end of a cable is a different size to the other end of the cable. That makes no sense in my head, because all that's going down those cables is zeros and ones. Just zeros and ones. And so the only thing I can think of is maybe my computer sending zeros and ones at 12-point font, and what's happening is my iPhone takes zeros and ones at maybe 9 size font to save space. Maybe that's what makes them so small. And so that cable must be acting as essentially the robot equivalent of me selecting all the text and go and change font size. That's the only thing I can fathom. It can't be anything else. That must be it. It must be font. And I remember old printers used to have parallel ones. So they had big fat ones, but they were both the same size. So I can understand that. That makes sense. But nowadays you have a big end which goes into your computer and a small end which goes into your phone. If as some of you may be trying to say to me and yelling at me now, it does nothing and it's just a different way of having the pins in the connector to connect to the device, why aren't both the ends small? Because there's no reason I couldn't have a small end on my computer. And in fact, it would make my computer neater and it would make cables easier to find if both sides were the same. But no, they're different. And so there must be, that wire must be doing something. On the other hand, and this isn't funny by the way, this is just something I found out. You know those big chunky things? So you've got the wire coming along and you've got the big chunky thing on the, that was not a good thing not to do. The big chunky thing, that's even worse. Okay, the big solid chunky thing that the wire goes through, and everyone gets really annoyed with them because they're right next to where you plug it in, and they're really... I found out what they are. They're magnets. And it makes sense in the same way that if you put a iron core through a load of coiled wires, it makes the magnetic field align. It does the same the other way around. If you put the magnet around the outside of the wire, it makes the magnetic field align and it gets less RF interference. I thought that was particularly cool. Not funny in the slightest, other than my slightly rude hand gestures. I apologise. I know my mum watches this. I'm very sorry, Mum, for doing that. I have no idea what it means. I saw it once in the playground. I tried to ask you, I think, what it meant, and you didn't tell me. You just told me it was rude and I shouldn't do it. So I have no idea why I shouldn't do it. So I can only presume that now I'm an adult, I'm allowed to do it all I want. I can do this over and over again. And sometimes maybe it's closed and it doesn't work. And then sometimes it's open and really wide, and then you can't really feel what's going on. But I don't really know what this signifies, so I'm just going to keep doing it like that until... Anyway, sorry, I'm going to go. Maybe I'm getting carried away with all of this. I'm getting tired now. Kind of feel like going to sleep. Knackered would be the word, I think. I'm going to go to sleep. Anyway, thank you for watching, random people. Please comment, give me subjects down there. Ones that maybe I know a little bit about tend to help, but yeah, comment down there in the description. That would be awesome. There's a subscribe. There, I think subscribe is there somewhere. Subscribe makes me feel better about myself. I've had 2 subscribers so far. I feel really good for 2. So if we could double that, I don't know how I'd feel, but thank you very much. See you later.